What's up, babes? It's Biakai, tummy ache survivor, Smite. Today we are going to do a deep dive into a very specific player's Smite history. That person being, in my opinion, Smite 2's most hated player. This video will be talking about Autospeed. There's a good chance you may have heard of him because he's been in and out of drama for an extremely long time now. Bro, I just looked over at the camera and what the fuck is my hair doing, man? Maybe you know of him due to him achieving rank 1 in the Conquest leaderboards, but it's more likely that you know him from when he recently bug abused in Sam the Dude's duel game.
Well, that was his blink, so. Wait. He literally blinked before. The blink bug is still in the game? What's the blink bug? Dude, he's actually cheating.
But that was like 2 months ago, so why am I making this video now? A lot of the reactions I saw to him bug abusing against Sam said to me that like not as many people as I thought knew about Autospeed. So I thought there might be a lot of value in breaking down everything there is to say about Autospeed. But I want to do it a little bit differently. Truth be told, I'm a little uncomfortable recording this video, and that's because I know that videos alluding to drama or somebody that's received a lot of negative attention can attract two extremities of people. If you like the person that's being discussed, then well, any criticisms levied against them just means you're obsessive and you're just being a hater. And if you don't like the person that's being discussed in the video, then any criticism levied against them is just kind of a justification for why people are horrible to them. And this video is going to be like a little bit of both, you know? I'm going to say some good things, but I'm also going to say a lot of bad things. And I get that it's kind of unreasonable for me to make a video like this and not expect to attract people of those extremities. But that doesn't mean that I can't or should not try to inform people and generate a discussion about this person. I just think the best way to do that would be to try and go into this conversation as if I know absolutely nothing about Autospeed. A lot of content creators have chimed in and made their own videos about Autospeed, and while I agree that there's value in spreading awareness of someone doing something that harms the game, a lot of those videos are like 10% criticism and 90% shit talking, which I'm just personally not the biggest fan of.
Car Autospeed, you two are fucking losers. Fact that we just found out that you dodge.
Aren't you 30? Those videos serve their purpose. I understand why people like them. They just aren't for me. And it was also just a lot more efficient to try and do research outside of YouTube. So for this video, and I encourage you guys to do this as well, I'm going to try and push my biases aside and give Autospeed the minimum level of respect. And, you know, I'm going to crack a few jokes here and there. But if you'd rather I just shit on him the entire video, well, fuck you, it's my video. My perception of Autospeed has changed so much since I started making this video, and I got a lot of answers to questions that I had about him, and some of them come directly from Autospeed. You're admitting now, like, you have bug abused 2 win ranked games for multiple years. How do you personally justify doing that?
I was mostly doing it because it was just fun doing it. Like I was having fun, but it's because I've seen like other pro players use bugs before, like in the same rank conquest match as me.
And this interview took place after like 90% of the video is done, and I go into it a bit more at the end of this video. And what's so interesting about this change in perception to me is that a lot of the energy and criticisms that I had towards Autospeed kind of got redirected to high res. And I think you'll notice that in real time as the video progresses. Because while I am recording this intro pretty much a day before the video goes live, the rest of this will just be recordings from like a couple weeks ago in chronological order. We're going to start with breaking down a lot of statistics from his ranked matches. Then we'll look at his VODs, and then we're going to discuss his history with bug abuse, and finally we're going to address the viewbotting accusations. And the goal of that being to provide a clearer picture into how Autospeed plays the games and his past controversies. This video will probably be like an hour long, so there will be a table of contents in the description if you just don't care about a specific portion of this video. But for now, let's rewind to 2 weeks ago, to after I gathered a lot of data from his tracker.gg profile and comparing that to the data of other Smite players. So I've spent a few hours gathering a fuck ton of data, and I also figured out who else's stats I want to look at alongside Autospeed. Firstly, I'm going with Tegveer because he made a push to take rank 1 from Autospeed, and he successfully did for one whole day. Comparing Autospeed to just one person wouldn't be super effective in my opinion, so I also decided to compare Autospeed stats to everyone that I saw make videos about Autospeed. Those people being Christy Dixon, Weekend, Sam Dude, and myself, because, well, I'm making this video. If they're comfortable making statements about him and entire videos about him, then I hope that they're comfortable with seeing how the stats compare. I even made fucking graphs, dude. This is one of the few things business majors are actually good at. Although I did have to ask a friend for help analyzing the graphs, because that is something that business majors are not good at. I'm gonna start with KDA and win rate because it's very simple to convey and understand. So for those that don't know, KDA is calculated by taking your total assists, dividing that in half, adding that number to your total kills, and then dividing that entire sum by your deaths. So if you went 8, 2, and 10, your KDA would be 6.5. Over 100 games, Autospeed had a KDA of 4.18, which was better than everybody else, except for Tegvir, who had a fucking 7.23 KDA over 100 games. Just that alone is fucking nuts, dude. Also, Chris had the lowest. This isn't helping the controller player skill issue allegations. This is very important to me as a former controller player, Chris. Do better. Now looking at win rate, Autospeed once again cleared everybody with a win rate of 78%. Except Tegvir, who had an 83% win rate. Everyone else had pretty much between a 50 and 60% win rate. Next, let's look at the average damage per minute and average gold per minute. Autospeed sits at around 670 damage per minute and 490 gold per minute, rounding up. Every single person that I looked at had a higher average damage per minute than Autospeed, and also every single person had a higher average gold per minute than Autospeed. Well, except for Chris, but not by much. And then Tegvir once again takes the fucking crown at 1,272 damage per minute and 680 gold per minute. What the fuck, dude? Now, using just those 4 stats alone doesn't really paint a complete picture, even though some people from the community will be very insistent on it.
How the fuck do you go full fucking damage and get 0 fucking kills?
People love to jump to stat lines to try and prove others are good or bad at the game, which isn't really fair. Like, I think it'd be a bit absurd for me to claim that I'm better than Chris or Weekend or Sam just because I had a higher average damage and gold per minute than they did, even though that felt really fucking good to say. Also, most of what I say is going to be in a general sense because, like, if you have 1,272 average damage per minute over 100 games, you're clearly doing something right. And also, I understand that these metrics aren't super valuable unless you take into account the roles that everyone is queuing. For example, a support main would probably have a significantly lower KDA, a significantly lower average damage per minute, a significantly lower average gold per minute, and that's just due to the nature of the role, right? So now let's look at the roles that everybody queued and how often they got those roles. Autospeed, Weekend, and Tegvir all had jungle as their primary role. Chris and I had mid as our most played role, and Sam had solo as his most played role. Chris and I had a fairly low primary role percentage, around 40%, and primary role percentage being how often we got the role that we actually wanted. Although this data does get skewed a little bit if you change what your primary role is. Weekend, Sam, and Tegvir had a much higher primary role percentage at 78, 64, and 60% respectively. And then there's Autospeed, with a 100% primary role percentage. He played jungle for 100 games in a row. He also bought Sunder in 99 of the 100 games, with the only difference being he bought Blink 1 time. I don't know why he did this, but I'm just gonna believe that he misclicked and walked out of base because that's funny. He ended up losing that game, by the way. So things get even more interesting when you look at the gods they actually played and how often they played those gods. So the larger bar on this graph is unique gods played, with the smaller bar being how many unique gods were played in 5 or more matches. It immediately stands out that the content creators have a significantly larger number of unique gods played. Well, except me, so fuck me, I guess. Chris, Sam, and Weekend all had around 30 unique gods played, and Tegvir and I both had 12. I can't speak for Tegvir, but I'm not very comfortable on a lot of gods. And finally, Autospeed had the lowest amount of unique gods played at 8. I think it's really interesting that the 3 full-time content creators have a significantly higher range of gods played, because this says 2 things to me. 1, they view it more as like a content machine rather than a competitive game mode to grind, which I personally believe isn't really a bad thing, because I'm sure they're still trying their best best every single game. Like, God forbid they're trying to be a little entertaining, you know? And they also still found success even though they were playing a wider range of gods, many of whom they most likely weren't fully comfortable on. And a lot of these unique gods only had, you know, 1 or 2 matches played on them, which is probably due to god requests or just trying something out of curiosity. So I also included the amount of times the unique god was played in 5 or more matches to try and showcase how large each player's god pool is. The reasoning being that some people think less of high-ranking players if they can only pilot a couple of gods. Chris had the highest at 9 gods played 5 or more times, Weekend, Sam, and myself being around 5 to 6, and Autospeed was the lowest at 3. Autospeed, you don't even got a god pool, my guy. You got a god puddle. A god drop of water. Back to Autospeed. For those curious, he played Amaterasu 50 times, Fenrir 21 times, and Kali 19 times. The other 5 gods he played were Pele, Hades, Loki, Bellona, and Nemesis, and they were all played less than 5 times. So it seems Autospeed picked a few gods he could perform well in, and then just kind of stumbled onto a few backups when his gods were picked or banned. The thing is, this is also somewhat consistent with Tegvir, who only had 5 gods played 5 or more times. We probably already knew this, but this kind of showcases 2 different kinds of ranked players. The content creators, while still taking it seriously, more so seem to be doing it like just for fun or to get better games, rather than grind for a specific spot on the leaderboards. And I can't speak for the other content creators, but I myself was only playing ranked to grind to masters. And then obviously Tegvir and Autospeed were competing for rank 1. So it seems like if you're pushing for like a specific rank, you're just going to stick to, you know, what you're good at and what you know. Whereas if you care a little bit less, you're just going to play a wider variety of gods. I think this is a good time to emphasize just how important it is that Autospeed is as high of a rank as he is. The way that picks and bans work, if you have the highest SR in the lobby, then you will be the first person to ban a god and also the first person to pick a god. Knowing that Autospeed has a really high win rate, only plays a couple of gods, and will be consistently the highest elo player in the lobby, well, he can just keep repeating whatever strategy is causing him to win these games. He's essentially guaranteed one of his 3 gods, and he could also ban any counters to his playstyle or gods that he chooses. With that in mind, Autospeed, Weekend, and Tegvir all being jungle mains is also pretty interesting to me because it highlights 3 entirely different playstyles. Tegvir and Autospeed are both going full tryhard mode in these games, and you know, they both have a high win rate, a small pool of gods to choose from, but Tegvir's stats are significantly higher even though they both main the same role. And what the stark difference is between both of their average damage per minute and average gold per minute, that says to me that they're interacting with the map and the players they run into very differently. And then there's Weekend, who aside from the win rate, still has higher stats across the board than Autospeed, with a significantly larger god pool. There's also another data point that I looked at that kind of recontextualized everything we just talked about, that metric being the time of day everyone was queuing at. I looked at the time each ranked session started and when they ended, and all the times will be in Eastern Standard Time. This was kind of annoying to gather, so thank you to Weekend and Chris for having the most consistent ranked schedules. Weekend usually starts around 7 p.m., Chris around 8 a.m. Mine was a little less consistent, and I normally start around 5 to 6 p.m. Sam never really queued aside from once after 3 p.m., so I'm kind of assuming he has a stream schedule for the morning, and just he picks and chooses when to queue ranked during that set stream time. And Tegvir's was all over the place. There was pretty much zero consistency for when Tegvir was queuing, so I guess he just played whenever he wanted to. And then we have Autospeed, who is consistently starting stream after midnight every single night for pretty much 12 hours a day. There were a few outlier nights where he'd start around 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., but the majority of his ranked grinds started around midnight. And again, those sessions would go until the sun came up. Literally. And this is where we get to the first big criticism of Autospeed and Hi-Rez to that matter. If you go to the Smite 2 page on the Steam charts, you can see that player count usually peaks between 10 and 11 p.m. and then there's a significant fall off in players afterwards. This is probably due to, you know, employment, but it seems that Autospeed is only queuing at times when there are less available players. Granted, Tegvir did have some sessions where he queued super late into the night, but it wasn't very consistent, so I don't think it's fair to express the same criticism towards Tegvir. Autospeed is specifically queuing at this times, and I think it's pretty obvious why that is. There are less players in the queue, so the more skilled you are at the game, the easier it is to solo carry matches at suboptimal times due to the imbalance. This is made even worse with the existence of duo queue, which Autospeed didn't solo queue every single game. And the reason I said that this is also a criticism of Hi-Rez because his SR growth and loss is absurd given the SR gap between players. Autospeed is losing a fuck ton of SR when he actually does lose, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's over 100, but he's also consistently getting between 30 and 40 when he wins. How is this even possible? Looking at some of the games, there is a 3,000 SR gap between him and the average enemy. And it used to not be this bad in Smite 1, so I have no idea why it's this bad in Smite 2. If there is a 3,000 SR gap, first of all, you shouldn't even be getting into games consistently. But if you do get into games consistently with this large of a gap, it should take like 10 fucking wins to account for 1 loss. Again, the gap is sometimes 3,000. How is he getting 40 SR a game? That shouldn't be possible. That's fucking ridiculous, dude. And that's only Hi-Rez's fault. The other reason I think he's choosing to stream at these times, and this is a much smaller reason, but I still wanted to talk about it. The times that Autospeed queues at is a great time to accumulate lurkers because Smite has given so many rewards throughout its lifespan just by watching Smite streams. So Autospeed is capitalizing on that by streaming at times where no one else will, or at least significantly less people will. So that, coupled with his average stream time being around 12 hours, and I'm not kidding. So people that are grinding Twitch drops can watch whoever they like throughout the day and then switch to Autospeed stream before they go to bed. So this allows Autospeed to queue throughout the entire night and mostly focus on the game and not a lot on his actual stream due to the amount of people lurking for Twitch drops or whatever. And he can collect a ton of ad revenue for doing so. At least that's my theory. He is a verified streamer, so the revenue he's getting from ads is much more than those that have like only affiliate status. So I've gone over what I believe to be the relevant data, but now I got to do the unthinkable to gauge Autospeed's playstyle, and that's watch an Autospeed live stream. Okay, it's a new day. I've spent about 2.5 hours looking over Autospeed gameplay, and it went off to kind of a rough start. When I first looked at his Twitch channel, he had his VOD set to subscriber only, and I was like this close to making an alternate Twitch account to just subscribe to him so I could watch it. And maybe I'm a bad person for this, but I wanted to use an alt account to subscribe because I just didn't want people seeing I subscribed to Autospeed. But then a friend told me that there's a Chrome extension that lets you download any Twitch VOD regardless of if it's set to subscriber only or not. So I downloaded a few, and then a few days later I noticed he took his Twitch VODs off of subscriber only mode, so I don't know what's going on. But anyways, the games that I looked at were from late June because that's around the time I gathered all the stats from all the players we just looked at. No, Sky, oh my god. Sky, I don't care if you sit here, just don't meow. Okay, dude. He is playing on his Smurf account in these games, and I'm going to briefly go over Smurfing because it is a criticism that people have against some of the top players in general. Smurfing isn't something that's generally talked about in reference to Autospeed specifically, but Smurfing has been criticized regardless of who the player is, so I think it's fair to extend the same criticism to Autospeed. For those that don't know, Smurfing is the practice of playing on an alternate account that is completely separate from your main account, and people do this to get in lower rank matches, and even some games have like skill-based matchmaking and casuals, but normally it's done to play at a lower rank than what your main account is. And this can be problematic because the person that actually is Smurfing is basically making an intentional choice to make matchmaking worse for the 9 other players in the lobby. And that's because, well, they aren't supposed to be at that rank. They've already proven on their main account that they're a higher rank than what their Smurf account is at. So there's that skill imbalance there, and they don't really care about that. The reason why a lot of people don't see this as a big deal is because so many pro players or just content creators in general do it, or even just high-ranking players do it. One of the most common reasons people try to justify intentionally making matchmaking worse is for content purposes. Like, I'm sure you've seen a Bronze to Grandmaster series on YouTube, and that's not even like a Smite thing, that's just any game with a ranking system. Another common reason being to simply just have the ability to queue ranked with your friends that maybe either are worse than you are or just haven't grinded as much as you have. The whole point I'm trying to make is that there really isn't a good justification for playing on a Smurf account. The reality is that just a lot of people believe that the entertainment value that comes from either playing on a Smurf account or watching content revolving on a Smurf account is greater than the damage it does to matchmaking. Hey guys, I'm editing this video, that's why the scene like changed slightly. I just wanted to clarify my stance on Smurfing. What I was talking about was more so in the context of matchmaking, but I do understand that there can be valid, like, one-off reasons for Smurfing. The first two that come to mind is teaching a new player the game and you just want to queue on a new account so the algorithm and matchmaking doesn't get fucked up. Or like maybe you're just a unique individual that gets sniped a lot and people will play the game differently based on if you are in the match. Regardless of what the reason is, if the Smurf account that's being played has significantly less, you know, SR, MMR than their main account, then regardless of what the justification is, you are still hurting matchmaking. And that's just up to every individual to decide what their stance on smurfing is. I'm sure a lot of people are going to think the smurfing problem is a lot worse than people are saying it is, and I'm sure some people are saying that the smurfing problem isn't nearly as bad as what people say it is. So anyway, back to what past Biakai was saying. I don't really know why Autospeed smurfs. Like, the SR isn't really capped like it used to be in Smite 1. For those that don't know, Smite 1's rank system used to work in a way where you could only have 3,500 MMR as a maximum. And so people would just hit the cap and then just play on a new account and do it again. But this doesn't exist in Smite 2. So I don't know why Autospeed is smurfing. I really don't. Like, there are a lot of instances where he's clearly better and clearly making the matchmaking very imbalanced, and he just doesn't care. And again, he doesn't really have to. The SR is uncapped. He could get up to 10,000 SR on his main if he really wanted to. So I don't know. I don't really see a reason for it. Maybe there's just a disconnect between me and like the top of the top. Sorry for the rant. I could go into more detail, but let's get to the Autospeed games. So looking at Autospeed's gameplay, it was very surprising at how like normal it seemed, at least for the first 25-30 minutes. With the way people talk about Autospeed, I kind of assumed that he just like never helped his team. He only looks for farm and objectives, and spent the majority of the game split pushing towers and phoenixes or whatever. But it seems that that is just very, very exaggerated. From the games I watched, he starts at the Scorpion camp, which, you know, drops the little UAV thing. Then he goes to red buff, then the experience camp next to the red buff. Then he goes to mid wave, and then he tries to compete for the Oracle vision. Some games he would look to invade after this, but other times he would just go back and keep farming. And this start that I just described is pretty consistent throughout at least his Amaterasu games. In a Fenrir game I spectated, he went for an invade, cleared the entire left half of the jungle, and then went about like normal. So it seems on Fenrir he plays a little more aggressively, which I'm assuming is just due to the nature of the god. You know, Fenrir being a much better early game character than Amaterasu or Kali. But other than that, he really does just play like a normal, talented jungler and experience things that all junglers will experience. You know, he gets blamed for things that aren't his fault because he mains jungle.
Why am I getting pinged?
He ganks a lot and makes sure to capitalize on all the farm that's available on the map. But there were a few things that stuck out to me during the early and mid game. He generally prioritizes farm and objectives over helping the team, and arguably to a detrimental amount. There were a lot of instances I saw where he chose to call for a 50-50 on like a Gold Fury or a Fire Giant, when he could have tried to like maximize the potential by retreating for a bit and like poking somebody out. I also saw some instances where he would be a bit later than he should to a fight because like a camp was up or something.
Oh, fuck me.
Something else I noticed is that he's pretty self-aware and doesn't blame his team very often, beyond like a normal crash out after you go like 15-3 and still lose.
Bro, I didn't even see Zeus there. I'm gonna take a break. I don't feel like carrying my teammates every game and they just don't listen, so we lose by default.
Hey guys, Editor Biakai here. A week or so after I recorded that portion, I was sent a clip of him playing Minecraft while AFKing. So I guess Autospeed will also sometimes act like a fucking child if he doesn't get his way. Again, not sure how often this happens, but it does happen sometimes, and I think that's worth bringing up. Also, AFK is a reportable offense in the game, and a reminder to everybody watching that if you see someone AFKing in game, to report them. Him going Sunder every single game kind of shows how much he's committing to this more PvE-focused playstyle. He can get away with farming as much as he does. He can get away with taking those 50-50s because Sunder allows him to tip the scales in his favor in those aspects of Smite. It's easier to clear camps with Sunder, especially during invades. A 50-50 is now more like a 70-30 because Sunder is used for objective secure. But watching through his games, the trade-off by going Sunder becomes very clear. An example I found was there just being a lot of instances where he's staring at his team die due to not really having an opening, and that's because he knows that with his current god and build, he will most likely die if he commits one of the very few movement options to getting close enough to deal damage. So for this example, going Blink would alleviate this issue and provide significantly more openings for him in fights, but the trade-off being he could couldn't farm as efficiently and clear objectives. And this thought process can be used for other relics such as beads. I mean, he truly does believe that the value he gets from Sunder are more important, but the downsides are still there. And then we get to the late game, and this is where we have a major criticism of Autospeed and Hi-Rez again. If you've heard about him at all prior to this video, I'm sure that you've heard he split pushes to an extreme amount. Some people even claiming that this is all he does, and that's the only reason he's been able to climb the ranks as high as he does. I don't necessarily disagree, because he has won many ranked games off of like backdooring a Titan, but I wouldn't say that's the only reason he's winning and is so successful. Autospeed just has a very specific playstyle, and he's gotten extremely good at that playstyle. I think the reason people hyperfixate on the split push part of his playstyle is because that definitely is the most frustrating part of it, and that is only what the average person will see. If your only exposure to Autospeed is from the videos people have made on him, and even the videos he's posted himself, which is what you're watching right now, then yes, it's very easy to come to the conclusion that, oh, this is what this guy is known for, this is the only thing he does. But after watching a couple average Autospeed games, it seems like these instances of backdooring to the extreme are very far and few. But again, if that's the only thing you're exposed to, then it makes sense why you would think that. It seems like regardless of the god he plays, Hi-Rez gave him the tools he needs to push this playstyle to its absolute limit. Let's just count everything he has that helps him split push. Broggy's Harp works on towers. Sunbeam Bow works on towers. Tearfing, even that does a little extra damage to towers. Dagger of Frenzy, this is an active that increases your attack speed, which thus increases your tower damage DPS. Your tower damage per second, what the fuck? The Runic Bomb is a consumable that does massive damage to towers. The Naga Minions, a consumable that can literally tank tower shots for you. The Obsidian Dagger, a consumable where if you use it while under 500 HP, it literally heals you to full health. The third Gold Fury buff allows you to do 25% more bonus damage to structures and gives you protections while in range of structures. And then other subsequent Gold Furies debuffs enemy structures. And all of that is on top of things that just increase your damage in a normal way, such as, you know, various buffs around the map. It would be one thing if there was a very clear and obvious downside to combining all of these, but you gotta remember, he is still deleting people in seconds and even doing a good amount of DPS to tanks. All of these items and game systems I brought up are completely fine on their own, but there becomes a point where when it's all combined, it can create a very unhealthy meta and playstyle. It's almost as if Hi-Rez like wanted this playstyle to be dominant in the game. There are just so many resources at Autospeed's disposal that enables this exact playstyle and allows him to push it to its absolute limit. Now look, to be fair to Hi-Rez, I'm sure they implemented these on the basis of not wanting games to go too long, and this is just an unfortunate result of that. If there's items or systems in the game that help aid in sieging the enemy's base, then this could prevent stalemates in very long matches. But doing too much of that comes with a very clear downside. Like, just look how fast he's taking down some of these towers. Like, why wouldn't people do this if they had the opportunity to do so? It's frustrating, it's annoying to play against, it requires a lot of communication to counter, and the average ranked game will have significantly less communication than if you were in like a full team of 5 in Discord with the boys. And the thing is, Autospeed knows about this, and he kind of leans into how frustrating it is. A lot of the things he tweets are just clips of him backdooring. He one time tweeted a clip of him doing it in Assault, man. Dude, even in fucking casuals, he's still backdooring, which is even more lame than Conquest in my opinion. Because again, just looking at the average Autospeed game, he's really not doing anything wrong. Hi-Rez just said, hey, you know this playstyle that everybody fucking hates? Well, fuck you. We're gonna enable that even more. That's just a little hyperbole on my part, but all of that to say, I just don't think people should be able to backdoor as easily as they currently can. And if that's all that Autospeed was doing, well then this would be the end of the video. But if you remember how the video started, there is more to this story. Time to have an uncomfortable conversation about bug abusing. Okay, I'm going to hope that my hair stays normal for this section of the video. Also, I got Sky a cat tower. so hopefully she won't jump on my lap when I'm recording. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that a lot of the criticisms and allegations against Autospeed weren't particularly new, and bug abusing was one of them. We've already looked at the blink bug in Smite 2, but I wanted to showcase 2 more bugs he exploited back in the Smite 1 days to show a consistent pattern of behavior. I first looked at his YouTube channel to see if he actually like uploaded him bug abusing himself. His channel was a bit odd, but not in the sense of the actual content, because that's more so just the same generic Smite content that you'll see from a bunch of other creators, you know, gameplay videos, mostly unedited VODs. But he did have some pretty interesting titles. Femboy gets railed in ranked? How fucking dare you? Femboy is into dragons. Femboy comes out of the closet. The description of this video is so stupid, man. Playing Set in the worst Smite meta imaginable, but of course I still carry the game. This one is just called Doritos. It's a certain level of not giving a fuck that I almost respect it. Anyways, let's get back to Autospeed bug abusing, and I'm not referencing the hit video, I wish Arachne would crit my dick. There was a bug with Gold Fury where minions or pets could body block it, allowing you to deal damage to the Gold Fury completely for free. And at certain points in the game, he could completely solo the Gold Fury, granted it did take some time. I remember him doing this a lot in Smite 1, and I was an Olympian at the time, and I also remember talking to Hi-Rez about him doing this, and I don't think he was banned for this. Feel free to take that with a grain of salt, because I could just be misremembering things. Autospeed is probably foaming at the mouth when he found this, because it kind of accentuates his already annoying playstyle. Instead of being able to somewhat accurately assume when the enemy team was at Gold Fury, you now have to have a constant 24 vision of it, assuming you don't know where Autospeed is on the map, which is good practice in general, but if you know where 4 people are on the map, you shouldn't have to be scared of like a level 8 Arachne doing Gold Fury. Also, the video I just showed was clipped from his Twitch stream, so Autospeed, I appreciate you not deleting any evidence. The next one is a bug with Set where you could use your teleport multiple times before it goes on cooldown. Here's a clip from Benny Q I found on Twitter.
Gets my dash with this 3, slows me, dashes again. What the fuck, dude?
And surely I don't need to explain why casting an ability multiple times when you shouldn't be able to is problematic. Set is one of Autospeed's most played gods in Smite 1. I mean, it's even his profile picture and like the avatar he uses. So again, I'm sure he was like screaming and creaming when he found out about this. This one's particularly interesting because he made a YouTube short highlighting this bug, and the short is from July 11th. Benny Q's clip is from August 5th. Can we assume he did this for like 3 weeks straight or even longer? Is that something we can assume? I also found a tweet from Weekend claiming that Autospeed was banned and then he hopped on a Smurf and kept bug abusing. He didn't post any evidence or proof, so not sure how credible that is, but hey, another critique of Smurfing, so I'm down for it. And finally, I've already showed you the clip of him bug abusing the blink bug at the beginning of the video. Now, I want to look over what Hi-Rez's policy is on bug abuse, and I was kind of surprised by the wording. In the Smite 2 Code of Conduct, when referencing bug abuse, they make a direct comparison to cheating. No cheating. We have zero tolerance for cheating and will aggressively combat it through various technical measures. Examples of actions that could result in disciplinary measures include exploiting bugs or using automation tools to simulate gameplay. I don't know why these two are combined. I feel like exploiting a bug and making an automation tool to simulate gameplay are two very different things, but maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being nitpicky. Either way, Hi-Rez makes it very clear that they do not want people abusing bugs. Okay, so what's the punishment if you get caught for this? Well, the website states it follows a 3-offense process. The first offense is 7 days, and then 14 days, and then a permanent ban. Now, I want to bring something up. But before I do that, please don't interpret anything I'm about to say as me like defending Autospeed, because I'm very much on board for at least a slap on the wrist for him abusing the blink bug. Hi-Rez made Smite 2 with the intention of allowing previously banned Smite 1 players to be able to play Smite 2. And I think it's fair to interpret this as they're giving every Smite 2 player a blank slate. Whatever you did in Smite 1 doesn't matter. Hopefully you've learned your lesson, but don't do it again. I highlighted previous bugs to showcase that Autospeed abusing bugs in his favor is a consistent pattern of behavior, and that's it. I do not think that his previous bug abuse in Smite 1 should be taken into account when trying to decide whether he should be banned or not. And I think a lot of the backlash he's gotten for this specific bug is due to him abusing previous bugs in Smite 1, which is completely valid. I'm just drawing a personal line on what should be considered when trying to advocate for someone's ban. And I don't think it's fair to hold people that were previously banned or bug abused or whatever in Smite 1 to a higher standard than any other player. That being said, I hope Hi-Rez stays true to their word because they use some pretty strict language in the code of conduct. 7-day ban for the blink bug, arguably jump to a 14-day ban. That's where I'm at. But here's the thing. Hi-Rez didn't ban Autospeed for the blink bug, and you can't convince me they didn't know about this. Multiple creators have made videos on this, it's been all over Smite Twitter. I just refuse to believe that a single employee didn't see it and didn't bring it up somewhere internally. And I totally understand the argument of Hi-Rez not wanting to give players more information about what is or is not considered ban-worthy. Because the more information bug abusers have, then the more they can get away with. I get that angle, but it's a two-way street. You didn't ban him for this bug, so that tells Autospeed, okay, I can bug abuse anything involving relics or relic cooldowns and I won't get banned. Him not being banned for this is, in my opinion, a failure on Hi-Rez's part. And I just can't believe he didn't at the very least get a slap on the wrist for this. But like, how are we supposed to interpret this? Like, it says right there that exploiting bugs is conducive to cheating and that it's being taken seriously. But when someone is bug abusing on full display and everyone's talking about it, Hi-Rez sleeps. Can we just bug abuse now? Should more people be bug abusing? Because it clearly gives you an advantage and they're not being banned for it. I'm saying that to prove a point. Don't actually go bug abuse. I am not condoning bug abuse. Do not do it. So like, what's the point of this rule being there if you aren't going to enforce it? Well, I think the answer is obvious, and Hi-Rez just wants to appear as if it's being taken seriously without having to do the work. If Hi-Rez isn't going to ban the most obvious example of bug abuse, then maybe Hi-Rez isn't taking it as seriously as they claim to be. And look, I know Hi-Rez devs have a huge workload since they're developing a brand new game, especially with all the layoffs that happened previously. But when the literal rank 1 Smite player in the world is bug abusing in front of literal thousands of people, you'd think Hi-Rez would just make an example out of that. You were handed the freest goodwill from the community on a silver platter, and you chose to do nothing. And I understand that sometimes verifying if somebody is bug abused can take some time, right? But no, there were so many videos on this. This was being talked about all over the place. With evidence, the clip's right there. It's right in your face. So like, yeah, spend 5-10 minutes talking about it, ban the guy, move on with your fucking day. I have a theory that they've been a lot more lenient with bans so they could focus on the development of Smite 2, and I mainly believe this due to the huge chat filter they implemented. Like at one point you couldn't even type the word fart without getting an error message. But Hi-Rez, do what the catchphrase of Morbius is. When instances like this come up, you need more ban time. Just spend like a tiny bit amount of time maybe discussing things like this and figuring out where the line is for a ban, and just show us that you care. But even with all that said, it's probably too late to ban Autospeed for this. Hi-Rez kind of shot themselves in the foot, and I believe this for 2 reasons. One, it'll rub the community the wrong way that it took almost 2 months of creators making videos on him to finally get something done. And 2, it'll look bad to Autospeed's community because, well, why did it take so long to get him banned? Why are they listening to these creators instead of figuring it out themselves? I was gonna spend some time talking about some of the terrible justifications I see for bug abusing, but since it's explicitly against the rules, I don't really see a point. People like to say things, well, oh, it's Hi-Rez's job to fix the bugs, don't blame the player. Or another terrible one is, it's fair because anyone can bug abuse, so it's your fault for not utilizing it. And every single defense of bug abuse just gets overshadowed by the fact that it's against the rules. Well, I think it's against the rules. I'm not sure anymore. But Hi-Rez has stated they don't want people bug abusing, so any justification does not matter because Hi-Rez is king and we are the peasant boys. And again, I understand that not all bugs are the same. It should be a case-by-case basis. But you get the point I'm trying to make. That's all that I really have to say about bug abusing, at least that pertains to Autospeed. The last thing I want to bring up are the viewbotting allegations. For those that don't know, viewbotting is paying someone to artificially inflate your livestream viewer count with bots, hence the name. People have been claiming for years that Autospeed has been viewbotting, and I haven't really seen a single shred of evidence to support this. I see the reasons why people are accusing him of this, but again, I haven't really seen any numbers or screenshots or whatever to back it up. For reference, Autospeed has around 30,000 followers, and the streams I looked at over the past few days averaged around 150 viewers, and I will be observing the 3 live streams he did on August 16th, 17th, and 18th, and also note any consistencies I find throughout his entire streaming career. So those are the metrics and streams we'll be working with. I've done some research and cross-referenced some sources that I looked at, and there are some signs of viewbotting that are generally agreed upon. Firstly, being a disproportionate amount of viewers to people talking in chat, so just having a significantly higher viewer count than those actually talking in your chat. Second, being suspicious usernames and messages. And third, being random spikes in viewership. One website literally told me to go off of vibes, so I don't think they're very credible. But those are the 3 that are generally agreed upon. So let's look at them together one by one. For a disproportionate amount of viewers to chatters, the first question I had is, well, what constitutes a disproportionate amount of viewers to chatters? I genuinely don't know. Is it like if 5% of your viewers are chatting, that's normal? Is it a 10%? Is it 1%? Like what's the threshold here? And unfortunately, there isn't really like a safe percentage of viewers to chatters where you can safely assume that people either are or are not viewbotting. All the websites and threads I looked at were mainly just saying it depends on the streamer and the vibes. God damn it. So after looking at the past couple days of Autospeed VODs and noting the chat activity, things seem a little normal until you get to much later in the stream. When his streams start up, there's usually a fairly consistent flow of unique chatters for a few hours, but then the chat falls off a cliff. Multiple hours go by where there's only 1 or 2 people saying something, usually one of his mods, and even those 1 to 2 people are pretty far and few in between. So that's a little suspicious, but remember he does start his stream between 10 and 11 p.m. and they go until the next morning. So one could easily claim that it's due to him starting super late into the night when nobody's awake, and therefore attracting a larger number of people that just leave the stream open either to like manually support him or farm Twitch drops. Because, you know, people work night shifts or whatever. So yeah, I don't know, but for the streams I looked at, again, I want to emphasize that for the first couple hours, it was fairly normal, a lot of people talking, and then immediately falls off a cliff. It's a dead chat for hours at a time. Now let's look at any suspicious usernames or chat messages, and spoiler, I just didn't see any. The reason this was included because I guess some viewbotting services offer like chat services to try and hide the fact they're viewbotting. The examples they used were accounts that had like very strange names, and they would just say things like, "Great job! You go, gamer," just completely randomly. So obviously if they say that when like the streamer is AFK or something, then that's a little suspicious. But again, I didn't really see any of this, so I don't know what else to say. The next one being random spikes in viewership or just any inconsistencies I found, and this is where things get a little weird. For the 3 streams I looked at, there was only 1 spike in viewership at the very start of one of his streams, but that was also when Solo or Troll raided him, so that makes perfect sense. But normally he reached pretty close to what his average viewership was after like 15 to 20 minutes of going live, and then it would fluctuate throughout the rest of the stream. From my personal experience, that seems pretty normal. Now, looking at like the broader scope of his entire streaming career, there's a couple things that are very strange. Throughout all of 2025, there was only 1 weird spike in viewership, and that's only a few days after the open beta dropped. The open beta dropped on January 14th, but on January 17th, he had like 1,000 something average viewers. But then the days before that, the 14th, 15th, and 16th, he was averaging around like 300, 400 viewers. So what the fuck happened on the 17th? And I don't have an answer for that. There's also this very weird spike in 2023, and I went to his Twitter for that specific day, and he was doing a 24-hour live stream. I don't know what he did during that 24-hour live stream. I just really hope it had nothing to do with Arachne critting his dick. The weirdest thing that I found, though, there was a strange gap in February where he was only averaging 50 to 70 viewers, and then it immediately spikes back up pretty much overnight. Like on February 11th, he averaged 70 viewers, but then the next day he was averaging around 500. And it wasn't just a one-off stream where he had like 70 average viewers. From January 30th to February 11th, it was all around the 50 to 70 viewer range. And then on February 12th, it just shoots up. So yeah, that's a little weird. So to be fully transparent, I am not an expert on Twitch analytics. This is the first time I've actually done a deep dive into somebody's channel that isn't my own. So I don't know if what I just showed you is definitive proof of viewbotting, but there is one more thing I'd like to share before giving my final thoughts. thoughts. On July 28th, Twitch updated their view count tech to make it more accurately reflect how many real people were in your live stream. So if we go to Autospeed's view count around that time, there was a 0 drop in average viewers. In fact, his average viewers actually went up after this. So if he is viewbotting or has been, around this time, then his viewbot is really fucking good. So overall, I don't know if he's viewbotting. I'm kind of leaning towards no. There are the few things that I'm suspicious of, like that strange gap in February and also just the dead chat for hours at a time with 150 viewers. But I wouldn't say those two things alone make me comfortable enough to throw an accusation out there. Most of the inconsistencies have some kind of explanation. I really want to know what the fuck happened in February of this year.
But I think I know what this is. I think this is when Smite 2 didn't have drops. I could be wrong.
Really? Wait.
That should be. I don't remember when this happened. I'm pretty sure Smite 2 didn't have drops at this time period.
Yeah, no, it was on the 11th they announced it. And then the very next day your average viewership shot up to like 400, 500. I will need to edit that part in my video.
Sorry.
No, this is really good. This is really good. Thank you so much. And I get that some people just won't buy those explanations for the evidence presented. And I'm not going to sit here and say that they're wrong because I think being skeptical is a good thing. But for me personally, I just disagree. I don't think he's viewbotting. Everything just lines up way too well. And if you truly do believe Autospeed is viewbotting, the next time that you feel the urge to like rant about it somewhere on social media, just go report his Twitch channel and let Twitch decide for themselves. But again, for me personally, I just didn't see sufficient evidence to make me think, okay, yeah, he's definitely viewbotting. And I really hope you respect that opinion. I guess this brings me to the end of the video. Wow, we made it. I think I'm depressed. I spent 2 weeks just only engaging in Autospeed content, and that does a lot to a man. I wanted to briefly go over my interview with Autospeed, and if you want to watch the whole thing, the video will be uploaded. The raw, unedited 90 minutes or however long it was will be uploaded in its entirety as unlisted. The link will be in the description. But going over just the main points and like if I tried to cut out the filler, Autospeed agreed that there's a ton of unique changes to Smite 2 that allowed him to push his playstyle to an extreme.
You have those minions that you can those eggs that you can just on the ground and you start tanking everything for you. Pyromancer also shoots a not random, but it shoots a meteorite towards the tower that's the lowest HP. And Smite 2, jungle, so this item called Bomb the Spear gives increased damage towards structures.
He was very honest about bug abusing. How do you personally justify doing that?
But I was mostly doing it because it was just fun doing it. Like I was having fun, but to justify it is because I've seen like other pro players use bugs before, like in the same rank conquest match as me. The blink bug of the very recent blink bug.
Yes.
No, I was not banned. I was not banned, or none of the devs approached me and talked to me. I think I was just as surprised as everyone else. I was actually expecting to get banned.
Were you banned for that bug specifically, but also do you have a history of having an account that's been banned before?
Yes, I have a history of that. Yes, I should be in trouble, but I want everyone to be in trouble also, not just me. I want punishment to be equality, not like friends like protecting each other. I want the devs to throw hands at everyone.
He provided extra clarification about the viewbotting allegations.
The one thing I can think of or say is people just use me for drops, which I'm okay with because I make money off of it, ad revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say people mostly just come to my stream for drops. I'm gonna be honest. If it's been going on for so long, what I just tell people is just report the stream to get me banned. Usually that actually makes them more mad, but
you're wrong. But you want to know what stuck with me the most about that interview? I ended the recording and I thanked him and like said my goodbyes or whatever. And then Autospeed thanked me for being nice to him. And like, oh, fuck me, man. like, I know that he's done harm to the game. I know that he's like AFK'd in base and acted like a fucking baby before. He's admitted to bug abusing, all that. But like, he has genuine passion for the game, and he's extremely fucking good at Smite, even with his unorthodox playstyle, and overall just seems like a really nice guy. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. Like, he even had SPL tryouts. Like, I promise he's good at the game.
Yeah, I'm Paul from PC. I played SPL for like 6 seasons, 5 seasons, something like that. Yeah, so we were against Camelot Kings, which I think that might have even been the team that won Worlds that year. But he actually did pretty good, if I recall. I think he was playing like Ao Kwong a lot then. So I don't know. He seems chill, and I don't know. I think him like bug abusing though in the freaking duel or whatever is like insanely lame though.
Yeah, so I'm Snatty. I'm a soul laner. I played in the SEC or minor league. Definitely a bit of a different experience playing with like a jungler whose character pool is very hyper carry centric. He's actually the most like I don't want to say self-conscious, but he's the most self-critical player I've ever played with, and it's not even close. So we would have scrims where we would win like pretty easily, and he would really like feel a pressure to go back and watch his own POV and nick every single thing that he did wrong. And so he was extremely self-critical, and I think that kind of like stressed him out because of obviously some negativity and stuff he was getting. But he was a good player. He was fun to play with, and just super lasered in on like fixing things, which I was really surprised by because I didn't expect that at all.
But even with all that said, like, none of the good cancels out the bad, and none of the bad cancels out the good. Like, hearing him just talk about how he receives a lot of harassment and even death threats, there's a very clear line that needs to be drawn. And for me, that line is when he starts receiving, like, insults, like, as a human, that leave the game of Smite. Because it seems he receives like a disproportionate amount of hate to the crimes he's committed. Like, yeah, it's frustrating to see him backdoor. It's frustrating to see him not be banned for bug abusing or AFKing in lane, but let's not act like that equates to him being a horrible human being. I believe video game drama crosses a line when people try to make those direct statements about who somebody is as a human being, and that's made much worse when the face of Smite content creation is doing that.
What the fuck is going on? Bro, here's one problem. Maelstrom, you said he's grown adult, ironically outside of playstyle, he seems to be nice. You guys don't know us in real life. I promise, man. I've been doing this for 13 years. Every single person that everyone tells me is the greatest, nicest person, they've watched their streams, are the scummiest pieces of shit. Because you can just not say shit online.
Because here I am thinking that you don't really know someone without knowing their beliefs, their values, how they treat friends and family, or anything about what people do when they aren't on stream. But at the same time, it's like, Autospeed, you know what you're doing isn't okay. I know that you know that. Throughout our conversations, you kept saying things like, I know what I'm doing is wrong, and even admitting that you should have been punished for doing those things. Stop bug abusing entirely. Don't fucking AFK like a goo goo gaga baby in base. Maybe queue at times when there's more people in the queue. I get there is some enjoyment out of rage baiting people. I get that a lot of the reactions feel unfair due to other people committing similar crimes, but that doesn't make it okay. You know that doesn't make it okay, and you're lucky that you've been given the opportunity to make literally hundreds of thousands of dollars off of playing Smite. Are you comfortable giving me a ballpark estimate of how much you've made from streaming, money-wise?
Just thinking out loud, it's probably like 65K for this year. The beginning of this year to the end of this year. Like assuming the consistency hits, it's...
Oh, you're projected to make 65K
Yeah,
this year.
sorry, like, for all of the months included for this year.
I'm assuming you've made, like, into the 150, 200K mark total from, like, all your years of experience.
Probably. I do know
Wow.
during...
Autospeed, I better not have spent 2 fucking weeks researching you, make an hour-long video just for there to be no change in how you perceive the game. Just do it for me, goddammit. I am a broken shell of my former self. And oh my god, Auto, can I call you Auto? Are we at that point yet? If you get back into Smite drama, and I have to sit through videos similar to the last round of drama, I'm going to lose my mind.
So here Sam is. Sam's in a duel.
Yep, Sam is in a duel.
Sam is dueling against Autospeed.
Yep, he's dueling against Autospeed.
Autospeed was streaming.
Autospeed was streaming.
They're doing a duel.
They are doing a duel, yes.
Kali versus Nuwa.
That's the gods they're playing, yeah, I agree.
That's not the important piece.
Then why are you showing me this?
We'll show you here. Only takes about a minute.
Oh, okay, bet. That goes on for over a minute. Chris, there's a trim feature built into YouTube. It would have taken less time for you to cut that minute out than it would have been to actually sit through it. That hurt my soul, Chris. Why did you do that to me? If someone asked me what my current opinion is of Autospeed, I would probably say that he fits the introverted gamer stereotype very well and plays the game in one of the most cringe ways possible.
No, but normally my day of life is just waking up, Smite, and then when I'm in school, like when I'm on school break, it's mostly just Smite and school, Smite, school, sleep.
I don't think he's bad at Smite. I mean, if you've had SPL tryouts and you did well, I just don't see a world where that person is genuinely bad at the game. I don't think he's viewbotting, just everything lines up, but holy fuck does he play the game in a very frustrating way, and he probably should have been banned for bug abuse and the AFK thing. Thank you guys for watching. Truly, thank you so much. I put a ton of effort in this video, but I'm gonna go like watch a TV show with my cat. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I normally have like music and stuff here, but I just want to take some time to say thank you so much for watching, and specifically thank you to a person who goes by Glacier. Glacier, if you're seeing this part of the outro, thank you so much for keeping me in check. Thank you for the countless hours of sitting in Discord, telling me how I could make some lines better, telling me how I could make the video flow better, telling me what jokes worked, what jokes didn't. You made this video as good as it can be, and I really appreciate that. This video truly meant a lot to me, and that's because I've always wanted to make videos like this. I truly enjoy video essay content, and I feel like this is my first true attempt at like a long form video essay. And I know it's not going to be perfect. I know that there's going to be mistakes. I know there's going to be things that I should have brought up, but I didn't. But I did my best. And even though it could be better, I'm really proud of the outcome. So thanks again. Just truly thank you guys.